Welcome back to Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Today's episode, powered by Hayabusa, is all about counters. I'm going to teach you 4 different progression steps to be able to improve your counters and to be able to implement them in your fights. Step 1 to improving your counters is all about defense. You have to know how to defend the counter first. So that's where I like to start. So you got to be able to teach your fighters or be able to learn different types of defense. So whether you're going to use a shell, a parry, head movement, or your eyes and your footwork, you have to be able to understand how to defend that shot first. So that's what step 1 of the 4 steps is going to be. Have your partner or your pad holder throw that strike at you and you have to block it in different ways. If you're a beginner, it's now the time where you got to take your time, very slow it down, and maybe work one of the types of defense. For example, you might block with the parry and then just practice that one. But ideally, as you get more advanced, you want to be able to mix and match the different types of defense. Also, the type of defense is going to change the counter you want. For example, if I want to get inside and counter with body punches and body shots, I might have to use a shell to get closer. So I block the counter and then come in and counter again. So it's really important you understand that the type of defense depends on the counter you're going to counter back with. Okay? So that's step 1. Now that you have the defense down, it's important that you practice what I call stationary singles, and that's what step 2 is. So now you're gonna pick the counter shot that your opponent is gonna throw, and that's how you really develop it. So when I'm game planning for an opponent, I look at what their counter tendencies are. From there, I will practice and repeat with myself and my fighters to get them second nature getting those combos during the fight. You don't wanna think about what your counter is gonna be, it has to be in you right away. So step 2 is about stationary counters. Have your partner throw it at you and you practice blocking and the counter you want to throw. So your coach is going to decide what that shot is and what the counter is going to be. So that's how you develop slowly. It's about slow repetition, and that's how you get better. So if your partner is going to throw a counter left straight all the time, that's where you have to practice defending that shot, getting your head off center line, or using your blocking counter. So remember, if you're a beginner, start slow and work your way up. Pick one type of defense, one type of counter. As you get better, this is where I want to see you mix the parry, the shell, your head movement, your eyes and your footwork, and then play with different counters. Remember, this is a kickboxing channel that focuses a lot on MMA. And with that, you get to use and mix up different strikes. In kickboxing, my personal favorite is using my kicks versus punches or punches versus kick. I like to counter with the opposites, okay? So make sure you practice as you get more advanced, different counters to their counter. Now that you get more advanced and comfortable with blocking and countering, now you need to understand there's a lot of movement in fighting. Fighting is not stationary. So you're gonna follow the same type of drill, but this time you're gonna be moving a little bit more. So you're gonna practice circling left, circling right, and depending on what your partner is gonna throw, that movement is gonna help you set up your counter shot. For example, if I'm fighting someone that's a southpaw and I know they got a good left straight, I'm gonna circle to the outside, stay away from that power, or maybe stay a little longer because I wanna counter with my kicks. So you do need to be aware of your opponent's stance and what counters they like to throw. And keep moving away from it or circling or creating your distance, that's all up to you. But that movement's gonna help you evade, use your eyes, and use the type of defense that you wanna use. Now, finally, we reach to step 4, and this is the most advanced type of countering, and I like to call it countering the counter. So in a fight, you want activity. You can't just sit there and be a standing target for your opponent to blast the shot. Especially if you're fighting another counter fighter, you both are gonna stand there and there's not gonna be much action and you might not win the fight because you're not going after it. So what I like to play is counter the counter. Step 4. So I'm gonna throw a combination to start, and this is gonna get my opponent to counter. Then I know what the counter tendency is of theirs, so I'm gonna block that counter, then counter back. So countering the counter. So when I'm doing this first combination, I want you to be aware that it shouldn't be a blasting combination, one with most power, because when you throw with power, you tend to kind of drop your guard a little bit and get out of your structure slightly. So when I throw this first combination to get the counter, it's very controlled, very technical, and has full extension. And I've got to remember, I'm waiting for that counter. When that combination or I'm flowing, I'm waiting, boom, and then I react right away. So be ready, be in a stance to be able to counter, and that's the trick, counter the counter. I hope you're liking these videos. Make sure you keep liking, subscribing, and hit the notification bell to make sure you keep up to date with Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. And if you like the gear I'm wearing, make sure you head over to HayabusaFight.com and make sure you check out their T3 boxing gloves, as they're my personal favorite with that wrist and knuckle protection. We're gonna see you next week here at Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Keep sharing, keep learning, and we'll see you next week.